Welcome to another night on Wildgoose. Harvey Bay and Fraser Island and the Great Sandy Straits is fantastic in just about every weather imaginable. Anything from the east to the north to the south is pretty good, but soon as the breeze gets into the west, whether it be northwest or southwest, it makes life a little bit interesting and very unpleasant. And so the last 3 days we've had very strong northerlies and nor'westerlies, which has had everyone ducking for cover, and indeed I spent a night and 2 days at river heads trying to get out of that wind and trying to stay away from the storms in a nice safe spot. It was okay and it did the trick, but it's brown and muddy and not very pleasant. So last night I went and anchored up into the Lee and Big Woody Island, and Big Woody Island, it nearly brought me unstuck. It really kicked in from the northwest and I dragged anchor and nearly put me on a sandbar, but I was quick enough to see it and put myself back into a safe spot. But there's nothing like motoring around in the driving rain and in the storm on a dark night and full of sandbars, trying to find a quiet anchorage and find your spot back again. So tonight I've been a little bit more prepared, and Kingfisher Bay probably isn't the most ideal place, but the breeze today has been more out of the northeast. We've had a very pleasant day, it's been really nice here. It's been fantastic, but the storms that they sort of wondered if they might come rolling through, are indeed on their way. They're little malevolent suckers. These aren't the big angry storms that you see and that has everyone necessarily ducking for cover. These just creep up, they just fill the sky with grey, and then the visibility becomes very limited, to say the least, and then you see lightning and thunder followed by rain and probably a couple of hours of strong westerly or nor'westerly winds, and then it blows away and it's gone. The difference tonight is that there's a southerly change due, and it was always a bit of a race to see whether the southerly would get here before the storms. They haven't, and so there's numerous boats. There's about a dozen boats here that are prepared to try and weather it out to see if just to put up with those couple of hours of strong winds and rain and lightning and thunder before the southerly comes, and then we'll be in a nice protected spot and the world will be at peace again. I have done my best knowing that it's coming. I've anchored a little bit further out. I'm in about 10 metres of water and I've got about 50 metres of chain out. I've got a couple of snubbers to help ride the shock from any big waves that might come. I've anchored a little bit further offshore, given that if I do drift, then I should be able to give myself a little bit of breathing space to look after it. Double tied the dinghy up to make sure it doesn't flip or do anything silly, and now it's just a waiting game. Well, as you can see, the storm is rapidly approaching Fraser Island. If we look up and out over the transom and past the barbecue, you can see that's actually part of it there. Like I said, doesn't look overly angry, but it brings lightning. We might see some lightning in a second, and there's a rumbling of thunder which you might be able to hear. One of those things that never ceases to amaze me, as the first rumbling of thunder is heard across the horizon and the storm starts to build, that nor'wester starts to build in, we have behind me this guy that's trying to anchor right on top of me. It just never seems to wander. I had a few words with him, and I think hopefully he's going to go and at least move further down, and rather than being directly to windward of me and setting an anchor right at the last minute. So just waiting to see. I hope he goes. I hope he doesn't turn around. Anyway, if we're all battled in, there's some more thunder off you can hear now. So let's see how we go. If you look back here, I can have the cricket on in the downstairs in the cabin. We can start cooking dinner soon, but we get the luxury of being able to watch with a big bash while all this is going on. And so here it comes. course the tide's just changed, so now I'm sitting exactly the wrong way for the rain, but that's life. So welcome to the morning after the night before. The storm has passed by and it's left a beautiful morning. As you can see, it's calm. The only remnants of last night's storm is the flotsam and all the leaves and branches that are lying in the water and are passing up with the tide. It's a gorgeous morning here, and this is probably Fraser Island at its best. You can see behind me, this is an old cylinder that was left here in the war days. That's Mackenzie Jetty just behind me. And back in the days when in the war, the Z-Force troops all trained here to go and do their special missions before they headed off to Singapore. This was a secret little spot, and some of the remnants that are here, there's an old tractor in the sand that's almost completely buried now, that's also here. This was one of our favourite little spots, and when Cooper was 5 we used to come out here and go fishing, and he used to love playing around on this rusty old cylinder. It was better then than it is now. When he was 15 I brought him back here and we took some photos trying to recreate what he was doing when he was 5. And it was kind of a scary thought to think that we talked about doing it again when he's 25 in another 10 years time. So I don't know what's going to happen to his life and all the things that are going on in that time, but it's kind of exciting, isn't it? Anyway, there was lots of rain. I collected nearly 200 litres of water last night, which was enough to keep me going for a long time, and it's broken. There was a light southerly change that came through, and so I thought I'd better just come for a walk and show you what the morning after looks like. Fraser Island in all its beauty.